Recently, there was a report by the United Nations, the UN IPCC report on climate change. And this is an extensive report for about 4,000 pages, and it almost covers everything that's happened in the last few years. And it has certain amount of recommendations as well as to what the world governments should actually do to tackle and combat climate change. Now, I know it's an impossible task for you to sort of summarize the entire 4,000 pages in under 5 minutes. But since I know you so well, and since I can expect you to do so, can I please request you to do so under 5 minutes?
Of course, the IPCC report has been in the news in the past 1 week in particular, ever since the build up towards the release of the working Group 1 report. And then thereafter, you must have seen that almost all newspapers, all media channels, they're all covering this report, because what really the IPCC report is telling us that we are in code red situation. Because until now, most of the reports gave us warnings. They all talked about climate change sometimes as that distant kind of threat. But this report clearly says that we are in it already. And there are some irreversible damages that climate change has already caused, which we can't really do much about, except that we can slow it down. So in that sense, this report is very important, coming at a time when the pandemic has also hit us, and we are supposed to have the climate change conference later this year, when countries are supposed to increase their ambition about climate action. So this is a very important time that this working group report has been released, and the solutions and the impacts will be further discussed in the second and third working group reports as well. If I have to sum up what really the report talks about, as I mentioned, some of these things have been talked about, I think, even in the previous reports. It's just that with improvements in science and climate models and everything, the scientists are now able to pin even something like extreme weather events, specific ones. Usually you would tend to say frequency and intensity of disasters have gone up because of climate change. But now even specific events like the floods that happened in Europe, or wildfires that happened in Greece, or like you mentioned in the US, so some of these specific events are now being pinned on climate change thanks to the improvements in science that we are seeing. So for sure, in that sense, extreme weather events and extremes are something that has definitely been one of the highlights of this particular report. Apart from that, of course, what we are hearing is that if we are really to restrict ourselves to 1.5 degrees Celsius increase, which is what the world is trying to reach as a matter of fact, as one of its goals, we have to peak emissions in the next 4 to 5 years. And I'm not sure if that is something that is realistic at this stage, considering there are many countries which have still not peaked their emissions or are far away from peaking emissions in that respect. And of course, with science, what we are also seeing is that fossil fuel emissions, cooling, like aerosols, for instance, these are also, these, of course, it has been previously established that these are the things that contribute to climate change. But with extreme confidence, now scientists are able to put forth their argument that we have to reduce our fossil fuel consumption by leaps and bounds, drastically, of course. So these are some of the outcomes of this particular report. And I'm also, as I mentioned, we need to look at the remaining reports that are going to come out in terms of what impacts, like regional weather variations. As the report says, a region like South Asia is going to be even more climate vulnerable in the future. So with all these changes, of course, we have to take action, and there is no doubt about it. It's just that the political will and whether the world will actually come together to tackle this issue is something that we need to bear in mind. So it's almost like saying, we can't say anymore, oh, it's in the future, it's now. So, or we probably should have started acting on it yesterday or day before yesterday. So we have reached that situation right now.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.